Well, as the country celebrates those who performed exceptionally and commiserates with those who didn't, the emotional toll would have been massive on the class of 2023. Let's bring focus now to them and talk about how they should be supported in the aftermath of what's been a milestone year. The South African Depression and Anxiety Group's School Outreach Coordinator, Roshni Parbhoo-Seeth, joins us now. Thank you, Roshni, for your time tonight. Appreciate you. And I know we've all been watching our screens all day. We've been expecting this moment and anticipating it for a while. And as my colleague has said, you look at the faces of those amazing kids on stage and they're about to be recognized for that stunning achievement. It really is a year that would have been a year of a great deal of sacrifice and a great deal of stressing. We often focus on the students who failed or didn't perform well, but the fuller picture is that matric is a tough year for most students, and there's a huge mental and emotional price to pay just going through the year. Share with us what this emotional roller coaster over these past months would have been like.
It's certainly an emotional roller coaster, but not just for our matriculants. It's an emotional roller coaster for mums, for dads, for siblings, for absolutely anyone that's living in that household. It's a year of incredible highs, incredible lows. When they get done writing those exams, there's some relief, and they have a 6-week break where they try to forget everything. But then we come back to reality and remember that these results need to be released. And those emotions, both for parents and for kids, is highly stressful, highly overwhelming. Some might feel a bit relieved that these results are coming and that's over and done with, we can now move on, whereas others are fearful, anxious, not sure of what to expect. And so for both parents, anyone in that matriculant's household, it's a difficult time. We almost like walking on eggshells, not sure what is the right thing to say and what's not the right thing to say.
Yeah, I mean, you described it so aptly that this is a collective experience. It's everyone around that child, both at home, extended family, and so on. You've been working with children and in this outreach program for a long time now. What are some of the big impacts on mental health? Part of it is obvious, as you've just mentioned there, anxiety. What about depression and self-esteem and those things? Share with us what you've learned.
So what we found that bullying is a big issue in schools, and kids are not being bullied for the small things. They're being bullied for things that don't even matter. If you are too big, you're being bullied. If you're too small, you're being bullied. If you're too light, you're being bullied. If you're too dark, you're being bullied. And the result of that is, or the reason for that is that everyone's going through something and they need to try and find a way to exercise this power. So bullying is definitely a big issue in schools, but also family struggles, financial struggles, family relationships, different kinds of relationships. Those are all impacting the mental health of our children, and it could cause them to feel depressed. They have a lot of pressure on them to succeed. For many of the kids we have visited at the school, they've been told that our whole future depends on you passing matric. And that's a lot of pressure to put on a matriculant. One of the other issues we've also found is that it's grade 10, 11, and 12 that we start pressurizing our kids, where we need to realize that from grade 1, we have to emphasize the importance of education and why education is so important for your future. And so if we do that from grade 1, if we get involved from grade 1, it becomes easier. But a lot of kids also don't know that we need to communicate. We have to communicate and talk about what we're feeling.
Yeah, and as you say, it begins a long time ago and it becomes almost a practice of care. Let's go then tonight to the reality of those learners who did not perform well. They're in triage, one imagines. Those who fail to deal with their feelings or are going to be failing to to deal with those feelings of potential loss and failure. You talked about the fear of the future or even the fear of their parents and their parents' expectations. How can we support them? How can families be thinking about what's best for them in this moment?
I think the most important thing, Iman, is to open those lines of communication. Speak to your parents. Parents, speak to your kids. Speak to your brothers. Speak to your sisters. Ask them what they are feeling. So at SAREC, we say, talk about it. T, talk to someone that you trust, whether it's a family member, a friend, a relative, a teacher. A, ask another friend Are you okay? Maybe they're going through something and need somebody to speak to. L, look after yourself. Look after your own mental health as well. It's important to remember that mental health is something that we all need to look after, just like we look after physical health. And K, keep in mind that regardless of what your results are, if you are not getting the results that you wanted or expected, there is always other options. There's a plan B, there's a plan C, and there's a plan D. And if you are not sure of what that is and you have no one to speak to, the counselors at the South African Depression and Anxiety Group are there for you to talk to you and support you through that.
And that actually brings up the final point I wanted to raise with you, Roshni, around free resources. You know, a lot of kids have the luxury of having therapy and they have that psychosocial support. But for those who don't have that access, besides your organization, what other resources are available?
So we have a variety of resources on our website. And so go onto our website, www.serac.org, and you will find all of the resources there. There are actually a lot of resources available for the kids. And we have an extensive referral guide. So let us be your point of call. Call us. If you don't want to phone us on 0800 567 567, you can WhatsApp us on 076 882 2775, or you can send us an SMS on 31393 and we will guide you through that process. Please know that there are resources available for you.
Just one thing, if we can, Roshni, just repeat both numbers for us again. We'll put them up in the blocks so that our viewing family can take them down.
Okay, absolutely. So our crisis helpline is 0800 567 567. For those of you that don't want to speak on the phone, you can WhatsApp us on 076 882 2775, or you can send us an SMS on 31393.
Okay, we'll certainly put that up as well and provide that as a resource. Thank you so much for sharing what you've shared tonight. You can only imagine what's going on in families, you know, in lounges and in sitting rooms around the country or wherever else people are digesting, will be digesting these results. It's a big night tonight, so much expectation. Roshni Parbhoo-Seeth is with the South African Depression and Anxiety Group and is their school outreach coordinator. We'll repeat those numbers, Bungiwe and I will, a little bit later on.